Premier League game week 12 review. The Premier League weekend started with a very interesting game from Chelsea, Leicester City. Leicester City was at home in that game. The game ended 2-1 in favor of Chelsea. Enzo Fernandez and Nicolas Jackson getting on the score sheet for Chelsea. And Jordan Ayew scoring a penalty in the 90th minute to get them a goal in that game. The game ended 2-1. It was a good game of football. Chelsea could have gotten a lot more goals in the game. In the first half, they played really well. In the second half, Leicester City grew into the game, got a couple of chances, but then could not take some of those chances. But the game ended 2-1 in favor of Chelsea. Moving on to the next game of the weekend, that was Nottingham Forest versus Arsenal. Nottingham Forest started the season really well, like I said in my other videos, and they've tried to get points. They've been able to stay in the top half of the table, but now Arsenal were too good for them. Bukayo Saka with a fantastic goal in that game. Also Thomas Partey and Eitan Nwaneri getting on the score sheet in that game. It was a good game of football, a very interesting one to watch, and it's good to see Arsenal getting back to winning ways. Arsenal, they've struggled. They've struggled in the last couple of games. They've not been able to get results. The performances has not even been bad, but the result has not gone in their favor. So it's good to see them getting 3 goals and winning against a very good Nottingham Forest side. Moving on to another game of the weekend, that was Aston Villa versus Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace led twice in that game, scored the goal very early in the game, and from there on, uh, Aston Villa posed the threat, got the equalizer. Also, Ismail Assar getting his first goal for Crystal Palace since his return. Just seeing Crystal Palace playing really well and trying to get the win against a very good Aston Villa side, but that was not possible, and the game ended 2-2. The game ended 2-2 in that's it. That's a draw, and that was how the game ended. Moving on to another game, we saw Everton versus Brentford. This game ended 0-0. I think Everton they struggle to get goals. They don't play badly in some of their games, but then in the attacking third, they the output is not really good. We saw Brentford got a red card in that game, but the game ended 0-0. Nothing really much to talk about in that game. Moving on to another game. This was Fulham versus Wolves. Alex Iwobi got on the score sheet in that game early in the game, but all of a sudden, Wolves they woke up. They started playing really well. Matas Cunha with 2 goals. Like I've said about Wolves, they've always played good. They've always played good football. They've always been good on the. They've been on the front foot, trying to the players, the connection, they understand themselves, and they just need the results to start going in their favor. And they've struggled with that in the last a couple of games, but now it's good to see them getting back to winning ways. They won a game before the international break, and now winning another game. That's 2 games in a row for Wolves, and 4-1 against a very good farm side at home. Fulham were at home in that game, and that shows how the work these guys had to do to get that win. But it was a very good game of football, and that's good for Wolves, the manager and the players, and they just need to build on that momentum and the confidence. Moving on to another game, Bournemouth versus Brighton. I said before and in the preview that this game is going to be a good one, a tough one. It's not going to be an easy game. It's going to be an exciting and interesting game. But at the end of the day, Brighton won that game by 2 goals to 1. It was a good game of football. Mitoma getting on the score sheet again in that game. But all around Brighton, they've tried this season. They've been getting the results. I think last season they were having good performances, but they were struggling to get results in a lot of the games. But this season they get the result anyhow they need to get it. They play well, but at the same time they get the results in those games, and that was what happened against AFC Bournemouth, who are in fine form also. So that's 2-1 Brighton versus AFC Bournemouth. Moving on to the big one now of Saturday, that was Manchester City versus Tottenham Hotspur. Uh, Tottenham Hotspur, I don't know what they've done, but they've always found a way to win against Manchester City. In the last couple of meetings, Manchester City they've won more games than Manchester City has won against them. And seeing them winning that game by 4 goals to 0 is still shocking to a lot of people because yes, Man City they are not on form. Yeah, they've lost 4 games in a row in all competitions before this game. Now this is making it 5 games in a row. Manchester City has lost, and what's going on Manchester City? I think no one can actually explain what's going on with them right now because they are struggling. The players are there. They still have good players, quality players. De Bruyne is back from injury. Jack Grealish came in that game, and Alan is still up front. They still have a lot of players. Not like they have a lot of injuries. And even when we've seen City have injuries, they still end up getting results. They still end up playing good and just moving on with the 3 points, no matter how they get it. But now they've struggled. For a Tottenham side to win 4 goals against Manchester City, that shows how bad this Manchester City side is playing. It could have been more than 4. James Maddison with 2 good goals in that game. Bernard Johnson also getting on the score sheet again this season. This is good to see. This is good. This is good performance from Tottenham Hotspur. Yes, City, you can say they were bad, but kudos to Tottenham Hotspur for stepping up and playing really good. The performance was top notch. They were not afraid. They went all out. James Maddison, fantastic performance from him in this game. Big game player. Got them, got the first 2 goals, and from there they build on that. They could have had more than 4 goals in that game. But what's going on with City and Pep? Something needs to change. They need to fix that and start getting the performances back. We've not seen it this bad before. I've not seen Manchester City lose 4 games in a row, even even during his first season, and now he has lost 5 in a row. So what's going on there? They need to fix it. And yeah, and Pep Guardiola has actually signed a contract extension, and now I think the players should trust that yes, they have their manager for 1 more year, and they should come out, play well, and try to get the result. That's what I think Tottenham, Manchester City to do. But Tottenham Hotspur and Postecoglou, fantastic performance from him and his boys. 4-0 Tottenham Hotspur versus Manchester City. Moving into another game, that was a Sunday game. That was Liverpool versus Southampton. The game was a bit shaky. At some point, uh, we were thinking it would be Liverpool losing a game this season, but Mo Salah stepped up again, 2 goals in that game. It was a good game of football. Southampton really tried. They got the equalizer from the penalty. An early goal from Liverpool got the equalizer from the penalty. Scored the goal to make it 2-1, which was a very good goal. And Liverpool equalized and they ended up winning the game. And that just shows how confident the Liverpool team is. Even if you score against them, they are not scared. They just want to go all out to win those games, and that was what they did in that game. The performance was good, top notch. They kept fighting to the end. They didn't, even when Southampton were leading, they didn't give up. They kept, because they understand what they are doing. The manager, the players, they are in tuned. So they were able to keep going, keep going, keep going. They were patient until they got the equalizer and also won that game by 3 goals to 2. And Mo Salah can't stop scoring and is still uh, on top from this season. And moving on to another game, which I think was the one a lot of fans, football fans were looking forward to, was the Amorim, the beginning of the Amorim era. That was the first game for Manchester United. Ipswich Town versus Manchester United. It was a game that if you watch the game, the first half, Manchester United started the game really well. Marcus Rashford with the early goal from assist from Ahmad, fantastic uh, pattern of play in that game. But then Ipswich drew into the game. They put in the pressure. They kept playing. They understood the job. Ipswich are not a bad side, like I said in my preview. They are a good side. They are a decent side. Yes, they've struggled to get results, but then they play a good brand of football, and they pose a lot of threat. And I think Amorim's tactics, the 4-3-3, it takes time for the players to adapt. It will take time for them to understand where they are going to be in the positions and all. Amai Hutchinson, fantastic performance in that game. He bust that midfield. He had chances upon chances, twisting and turning and just playing really good in that game for Ipswich Town. But this just shows that it takes time for tactics to for players to understand the new manager, the new tactics, the new style of play. Yes, you can question it should have gone with I saw people talking about him going changing the formation right away. As a coach, you have your identity, you have your idea, you should try to implement it. Yes, it will take time, and yes, the players will have to adapt to that playing style. You have to look at different players and look at the ones that will fit into the playing style of the manager. I think it's still a learning process for Amorim in this first couple of games. And the second half was better. I made a couple of changes. Yes, created a couple of chances, but then they were not able to get the goal. But it was a decent game. Manchester United didn't lose, and Ipswich now also one point I think is good for both sides, and they move on into the next game in the league. But overall, it was a good weekend of football. We still have one game today: Newcastle versus West Ham United, going down tonight. But minus that, it was a very good game week of football. A lot of goals, a lot of good performances, I think a lot of players scored 2 goals. Matthias Kuna for one, Mohamed Salah again. Just Madison also from the Tottenham Hotspur game. This was good. This was fantastic, and I think we can just keep enjoying the Premier League. Next week, more games to come. But this is the review of game week 12 of the Premier League, guys. Stay tuned, like, subscribe. Drop your thoughts in the comments. What was your game of the week? And let's know what you think about the Premier League game week 12 fixtures. Thank you very much. Stay tuned.